I just love this recipe, Merlot Glazed Ham. I discovered this recipe years ago when Martha Stewart did a series of videos called Secrets for Entertaining. She was at her Turkey Hill farm and she did all kinds of wonderful dishes, but by far I thought the most spectacular and delicious one was her Merlot Glazed Ham. So I've held on to that recipe all these years and have made it over and over. The ingredients are simple. This is an 8.5-pound shank ham, which means the bone is here at the shank, goes all the way through the ham. I like that kind of ham because it's always super moist and delicious because of the bone. Your ham will have the instructions on the package about how long to cook it. Again, this is an 8.5-pound ham, and my instructions are to cook this at 325 for about 2 hours. During the last 30 minutes of your cooking cycle is when you'll want to make and apply the glaze. The ingredients for the glaze are also very simple. A good Merlot wine. Always buy a wine that you would drink. In fact, you can have a glass of this while you're doing your ham. In addition to that, we're going to use dark brown sugar. I'll show you how to make the glaze, but it's just very simple, the brown sugar and wine, and that's it. So the first step that I'll do is to line this pan. Again, you're going to want a deep pan like this because the ham's going to give off a lot of wonderful juices, and the glaze, as it melts on top of the ham, will also provide some additional liquid. It's wonderful also to take some of this glaze up and put it in a serving dish so that people can put it over their ham when you serve it. But you'll want to line this entirely with foil, the bottom, the sides, everything, because if you don't, it's going to make quite a mess in your pan. I'm going to preheat my oven to 325, line my pan, put my ham meat side down, just like you see it here on the platter, and then completely cover it all with foil. And before I cover it, I'll put about a 1/4 cup of water. Just pour it over the ham so that the bottom of the pan has just a little bit of water. Cover that completely with tin foil and bake it according to your directions. The last half hour we'll get back together and I'll show you how to glaze it. In just a few minutes I'll be taking the ham out of the oven. I've already decanted the Merlot wine and I'm going to add it to our dark brown sugar to make a paste consistency. So just pour a small amount. Let's say start off with maybe a 1/4 cup. And mix that into your brown sugar. You want it to make a paste, but you don't want it to be too thin because as you put it on the ham, it will melt because the ham is still hot and still in the oven. Just a little bit more. That wine and sugar smells yummy. Just about like that. It looks perfect. So we'll get the ham out of the oven and start the glaze process. Look at all that goodness. Yummy. This is the ham fresh out of the oven. You can see it's just glistening even without the glaze, but the glaze is going to make it super delicious. So the process we're going to do, we're going to glaze this about 3 times. Again, it's the last 30 minutes of cooking. So you just put the glaze right on top. It'll kind of run, but you sort of just smooth it. Again, it needs to be a paste consistency. Looking wonderful. And you may have to mix a little bit more of the glaze up, but we have a whole bottle of Merlot, so that's not a problem. Go ahead and put a little bit on the shank also. Does that look good? So we'll return it back to the oven now for its first glazing. We're ready now for the second glazing. I wish you guys could smell it. It just smells so good. Can't explain how good that Merlot glaze is, but it just, well, you'll see when you make it. It's just phenomenal. It's just such a golden brown, puffy, beautiful thing. Again, this is a second glazing. So it was back in the oven about 10 minutes for the first glaze, 10 minutes for the second glaze, and then 10 minutes for the final glaze. Wonderful. Okay, back in the oven. So the ham's fresh out of the oven, ready for the third glaze. You can see how the glaze is starting to look almost like a crust. Just put the glaze all over. So since this is our final glazing, we can just be generous and pour it right over. It makes wonderful drippings in the bottom of the pan. It's so pretty. So back in the oven for the final glazing. Here's the Merlot Glazed Ham, fresh out of the oven. I wish you guys could smell it. It just looks beautiful. It's glistening all over. We glazed it, as you know, 3 times, 10 minutes per glaze. It's just a glorious, beautiful ham. I'll have Randy to slice it with an electric slicer. That's the easiest way to slice it. And I hope you enjoy making it. It's wonderful for the holidays. And thank you so much, Martha, for a great recipe.